Testing 1, 2. Welcome everyone to another coffee tasting. I'm your host Aaron Taylor, and today we are tasting another small lot coffee by Stumptown Coffee. And so with this one is from Colombia, and it is the Colombia El Jordan. And with this one, we are getting notes of chocolate with a candied, with a apple crisp flavor. So this one's going to be a very, very bright cup of coffee, and we're going to get some of those milk chocolate notes toward the end of the flavor as well. So, for those of you who are joining the coffee tasting for the first time, welcome. It is an honor to have you guys joining me here today. And for those of you who are returning, sorry, I have some in my eye. All right. So, for those of you guys who are returning to the coffee tastings, thank you so much for returning. It is an honor to have you back. If you haven't had a chance to hit that like and subscribe button down below, please hit that like and subscribe button. That really helps me evolve and build this channel and make it that much better for you guys. So, when I brew coffee on this channel, I like to brew it 3 different ways. And the reason why I like to brew it 3 different ways is so that we can explore the different flavor notes that we get from the coffee, but from the different brew methods. So each different brew method is going to give us different flavor notes, or it's going to bring out the different flavor notes of the coffee in different ways. And so with the French press, we're going to get a lot of those sediments and a lot of the oils. So we're going to get a really strong cup of coffee. With the pour over, we're going to get some of those oils and sediments absorbed, so those flavors are going to die down a little bit. And with the Chemex, we're absorbing a little bit more of those oils along with those sediments, so it's going to give us a little bit more of a lighter, cleaner, more balanced cup. So when you do a pour over for the paper filter and the Chemex, what you want to do is you want to pour just a little bit of water on your grinds just to get it all wet, and then you want to let it bloom. And so letting it bloom is important because what that does is it allows the air that's trapped in between each of the individual grinds to rise to the surface, and so that we're not creating a barrier. So when you pour too much water too quickly, you push the air to the bottom of the paper filter, and it creates an air barrier slowing down your brew process. And you don't want to slow down your brew process because brewing it too long is going to impact the flavor in a negative way. And so making sure that we brew our coffee is very important. I bring this up every time I do my coffee tastings because of how important it is. So with the paper filter, we're primarily filtering out a lot of the sediments, and some of the oils still pass through. And with those oils passing through the paper filter, it's going to help bring out those bright citrusy notes. That's where a lot of those bright notes are held, is in those oils. So it's going to bring out those bright notes. With the Chemex, because it's a triple paper filter, we're absorbing a little bit more of those oils. And so with a little bit more of those oils being held back, it's going to give us a little bit more of a cleaner, more balanced cup, because those sediments and now the oils are on the same level. With the French press, we're getting the full amount of sediments and the full amount of oils from both sides pretty much. And because of this, we're still getting a balanced cup of coffee, but that flavor is going to be turned way up. So if you guys joined me last Tuesday, we tried one of the Stumptown coffees, the Rwanda on the Chemex Ice, and that was really, really good. The melon flavors were really sweet, and then we got like some really nice milk chocolate flavors that really dominated the beginning of the cup. But those sweet melon flavors really came forward and gave it a really nice iced coffee flavor. So really, really good. If you guys are looking for an iced coffee, I would definitely try the Stumptown Rwanda Way Mountain. One of my favorites so far for an iced coffee option. All right. So now that the regular pour over is complete, we're going to go ahead and try that. So immediately right off the bat, we're getting that bright uh apple crisp smell. We're definitely getting a brighter smell than you would normally get from a regular cup of coffee. Ooh, wow. That has got a surprisingly apple crisp flavor. This would be really good with like a caramel flavoring, just because of how much of an apple flavor it actually really has. Um, I would say it's almost like a very subtle citrus and floral flavor mix that's giving it that apple tinge, that crispy apple flavor that you get. Very interesting. The reason why I want to say that there's those floral flavors is because we are getting a little bit of our dry tongue palate on the sides of our tongue, and that's where the those bright floral notes are going to come out in is those dry notes. Really good, super smooth. It's got a really intense apple crisp flavor in the very beginning, and then we get those milk chocolate notes towards the end. Very interesting. I've never had a coffee quite like that one before. So now we're going to try the French press. With the French press, it is going to be one of the coarsest of the grinds, and it's going to be the longest submerged with the water. And then because it's one of the coarsest grinds, it's going to pretty much compensate for the amount of contact it's had with the water itself. With this Chemex is taking a little bit longer than it should. I've had to help it brew a little bit. I don't think I got a proper bloom, and that's what's happening is it's starting to slow down the brew process. Either that or my grind could possibly be slightly off, but I'm pretty sure my grind is pretty good. And that's important to say, everyone, because making sure that your grind and proportion and water is all correct is very important to making sure that you get a proper cup of coffee and that proper flavor that the growers of the coffee and the people who roast want you to taste. So with this one, we're supposed to get that apple crisp flavor with a little bit of milk chocolate. So with this one, we're definitely getting that super bright apple crisp flavor. It's not as forward as it was with the pour over, where we're getting those intense like citrus flavors, but we are still getting that apple crispiness. And then as those apple flavors, the bright flavors start to wash away, that's when we start to get a little bit of that milk chocolate flavor, but it's not too intense. We're mainly getting is the that apple, those apple notes. Very interesting. Really good on the French press because we're getting a nice smooth flavor. Very balanced for that apple flavor isn't too intense. It's a little overwhelming on the pour over, but it still tastes good. But I would definitely prefer the French press so far. Super good. All right, so now we are going to try the Chemex. With the Chemex, the paper filter that we use on the Chemex is the triple paper filter. So with that, we're absorbing a little bit more of those oils that would normally pass through in a regular paper filter. And when we get those oils that pass through on the regular paper filter, it's enhancing those bright citrusy notes, or in this case, it's enhancing the apple notes. With this one, with the triple paper filter, we're going to hold back some of those oils, and it's going to allow some of those darker notes from that milk chocolate come forward, and it's going to mellow out those apple notes. So on the Chemex, we're definitely not getting those intense apple notes right off the bat. We are definitely getting more of those milk chocolate notes. We are still getting that flavor profile of that apple flavor, but it's alongside the chocolate notes that we are getting in this particular cup. And this one's really smooth with those milk chocolate notes. We're tasting the milk chocolate notes more on the Chemex than we are on the French press because the French press, those apple notes are still so strong that you hardly even get to taste those milk chocolate notes. So with the Chemex, we're getting that full range of flavor. We're getting the apple notes and the chocolate notes all together. So this is, I'd say, the more balanced of the three. But if you are looking for a more intense flavor cup of coffee, I would definitely go with the French press. But out of the three, the Chemex is definitely probably the best just because we're getting that more balanced flavor and we're getting more of those milk chocolate notes that come forward alongside with the apple notes. Excellent, really good. So with the Columbia El Jordan, the El Jordan group was actually started by the producers of the coffee, and now it is a partnership with Stumptown, and it is one of the many partnerships in this area. And so um, Stumptown is partnered with this particular group of farmers, and then the um, a third party company called Cavela, and Cavela is a company that just helps uh, work with technical issues and feedback and quality production and making sure that like everything is good. And then so this area of Colombia is one of the oldest partnerships for Stumptown, and it dates back to a decade. And so with this collective, it started off with a group of I want to say 19 producers, and now they're working with 33 to this day. So the important part about this is the fact that we're directly sourcing our coffee from producers of 33 producers of coffee directly sourcing, and that's important because with by eliminating the third party um, roaster or the people who process the coffee and allow the farmers to do their own processing and wash methods and all that stuff. We're allowing them to make a little bit more money and create a sustainable livelihood for the farmers. And then at the same time, they're going to learn they learn better practices to be able to turn the leftovers back into mulch to help provide more nutrients and put it back into the ground. And so with coffee coming to Colombia, it has helped create a more sustainable livelihood for the farmers, making it easier to create a paycheck for their family in a ethical and green friendly way. And that's an important part about coffee production as well, is because of how sustainable coffee is and how it's good for the environment and how just all the different research that we're doing to maintain coffee and keep it at its high quality is going to impact the world around it, and not just the world of coffee, but in terms of other things that can be grown in the garden. And so, with the different practices and discoveries that we're making with growing coffee, those practices and discoveries can be brought into other agricultural worlds. And the same with other things from different agricultural worlds being brought over to coffee. So there's plenty of excellent stories about, especially with the Brazil Pereira estate. With Juan Paulo Pereira, he actually went around Latin America touring different wine vineyards to learn what growers of wine do to create a high quality grape. And so with that, he took some of those practices and helped take those and help make better coffee. And then the more important part about that story as well is the fact that he didn't just keep this information to himself, he shared this information with the neighboring coffee farmers so that they can also create better coffee. And so that's, he went and explored and discovered new ways to grow coffee and then shared it with his neighbors, just to help the community thrive and maintain a sustainable livelihood. So super important, kind of cool what coffee is doing for people around the world and creating just a sustainable, green, friendly farming. So thanks you guys, everyone, for joining on this week's coffee tasting for the Colombia El Jordan, where we get the apple notes with a subtle milk chocolate flavor towards the end. My favorite, I would definitely have to say, would be the Chemex, just because we get a little bit more of that balanced cup. We're getting all the flavors all together. So we get that milk chocolate flavor with the apple flavor together. With the pour over, we're getting a very intense, crisp apple flavor. And then with the French press, we are getting a little bit more of a subtle apple crisp flavor, but that's because those milk chocolates are coming through a little bit more, making that apple flavor a little bit more tame. And so, if I were to choose a preferred brew method for the El Jordan Colombia, it would definitely be the Chemex. So, thank you everyone for joining today's coffee tasting. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the El Jordan producers and how they started off with just a certain number and now they're up to 33 producers. And it's just dedicated to making a sustainable livelihood for all the people who work on these 33 different farms. And so when you see the number 33, it's not we're not just helping 33 people. We're helping 33 farms that provide a livelihood for everyone who works on it. So with this bag of coffee, a lot of work goes into it. A lot of people are being helped by it. So this will help you and me appreciate the cup of coffee that we drink every day a little bit more. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. I hope your cup of coffee was just as delicious as mine.